Hello class, welcome to today's segment whereby we are going to be discussing IELTS Writing Part 1. We are going to discuss both the Part 1 in IELTS Academic and the Part 1 in IELTS General. So let us begin with Part 1 IELTS Academic. As we had earlier said, a Part 1 you should reserve at most 20 minutes of the 60 minutes required in IELTS, given in IELTS writing. So always remember you have 20 minutes to formulate your ideas, to write them down, and also to revise your work in Part 1. Regardless if it's Part 1 academic or Part 1 general, just take a maximum of 20 minutes. Okay, and always remember that you should have a minimum of 150 words, regardless if it's IELTS academic or if it's academic or if it's general Part 1. Okay, so the structure of IELTS academic Part 1 is the first paragraph. You should rephrase your heading. You rephrase your heading. Have you understood me? Your heading, like you are given in Part 1 academic, you're usually given a question like a statement describing your charts. So you should rephrase your heading, or rather the statement you've been given. Paragraph 2, you should give an overview of the chart you've been presented with, but ensure that you do not use any data here. Don't use any data. Like for data, by data I mean you say something like 50%, a half, 3/4. You do not use any data here. In the third paragraph, you give specific features and numbers, i.e. you use data in the third paragraph. So in the third paragraph, you discuss using data. You say like a half, you use things like a half, a quarter, 300, you use numbers, you use data, yes. And before I forget, this should be what I began with. But remember, as we had said earlier, in IELTS academic writing, you're usually Part 1, you're usually presented with a chart. These charts include line charts, pie charts, bar charts, process. You can also be presented with a process. You can also be presented with a map. You can also be presented with a table, or you can be presented with a mixture of either or these charts. So you're presented, for example, with a bar chart, and you're supposed to give a report in regards to that bar chart, or you should give a report in regards to the line graph you've been given. So what you just do is like you are discussing what is in this chart. That is your required answer. You just discuss what is in this chart. Okay. And it can be either chart. So please, during your practice test, make sure that you have revised each chart individually. Don't just revise the line chart only, or you just revise the bar chart only, or you just revise the pie chart only. Revise everything at least 3 or 4 times. So you revise bar chart at least 4 times, mixed charts at least 4 times, pie chart at least 4 times. You get what I mean? Do not leave any chart unrevised, because you wouldn't know which chart is going to come in the exam room. And then, regardless of the chart you've been given, you should always use this structure. First paragraph, you rephrase heading. Second paragraph, you give an overview of the chart using no data. Third paragraph, you give specific features and numbers of the chart using data. And always remember, there is no use of synonyms while describing charts. Only talk about what is in the chart. No guessing, no reading too much into the chart. Only talk about what is in plain sight. Guys, in IELTS academic writing, you don't guess anything, you don't think about anything, you are just writing about what you can see only. You see what you can see when you look at the chart. That is the only thing you're supposed to write about. You don't have to think about anything. So that's the advantage and also the disadvantage of IELTS academic, because sometimes you might be forced to you just want to force an answer where there is none. So if a grade 1 student cannot come and talk about that thing you want to write, then that is a sign that you shouldn't be writing about it. You just write what is in plain sight. There's no guessing. Yeah, there's no guessing, there's no anything. Okay, guys. So we are going in our live classes, guys, and in IELTS writing, please do not miss any live class, because IELTS writing is considered to be one of the challenging modules in IELTS tests, and most students find it challenging, but with practice everything is possible. So guys, always ensure that you've attended the live classes, because in the live classes we are going to go into detail in each chart. Like, we'll go in detail and discuss everything and find the key points. And so please don't miss it, because the writing module is easily explained in practice. Like, I can explain better while we are actually doing the writing, because yeah. So guys, always ensure you've come to the live classes. We'll be tackling each individual chart. Yes. Okay guys, we've come to the end of this segment, and yeah, see you in the next. Oh no, not really actually, guys, I'm sorry. So guys, that's all in regards to the overview of IELTS academic part 1. So let's go to IELTS general part 1. As we had said earlier, IELTS general part 1, you're usually required to write a letter. So in part 1 general, there's nothing about charts or anything like that. In part 1 general, you are required to write a letter. This letter can either be a personal letter, a semi-formal letter, or a formal letter. So a personal letter is whereby you are writing a letter to a friend. It can be any friend, can be your best friend, can be your cousin, can be your classmate, just a friendly letter basically. So a semi-formal letter is whereby you are writing a letter to your friend, your colleague, but in a formal setting. For example, you are writing to your friend, you are requesting your friend to lend you some money. So probably that will be a semi-formal letter. Like, you're talking about something serious, but it's directed to your friend. Okay, a formal letter is a letter whereby you're addressing a senior official or addressing an organization. So this is a letter usually written maybe to a bank, maybe to an institution, maybe to your boss or a certain manager. You're writing this letter in an official setting. It can be to anybody or to any institution, but it should be in an official setting. So guys, the thing about IELTS general writing, you should practice each type of letter. You should practice the personal letter, you should practice writing the semi-formal, and you should also practice writing the formal letter. Please don't go to the exam room with knowledge of only one type of letter format. Ensure that you know all of them, and in our live classes we'll tackle each letter one by one. like each question type one by one. So please don't miss it. I'll repeat this once more. Live classes is whereby the gist is. So please don't miss the live classes, especially in writing module. Please, please, please. Okay guys, I think we've come to the end of the brief overview of IELTS writing part 1, both in academic and in general. And yes, see you in our next class. Bye.